Hello everyone, welcome to the All Within Me podcast. This is your host Louisa, and in today's episode I'm going to be talking about how you can begin to build better habits so you can start to live the life of your dreams. First, when you finish listening to this podcast episode, what I want you to do is to just embody the person that you want to be. Pretend like you look the way you want to look already, and pretend like your life is already the way you'd want it to be. Now, what I want you to do is to write down everything that you are, everything that you have, in extreme detail. So let's say you want to have a certain job, write where you want to work. You want to work for this business, I want to work for this business, this company. My boss is like this. You can also write things like, I make this amount of money a year, this amount of money a month. Just be very specific. Also write about what your daily routine would look like. So write about the things that you would typically do throughout the day. So you can write like, I get up early, I make a breakfast that'll keep me energized throughout the day, I do my skincare, take a shower, brush my teeth, I don't snooze my alarm, things like that. You can even write about friendships and relationships. You can write, I have a very healthy friend group, we all support each other, it's very non-toxic. And you can also write, if you want to, things about a partner, if that's something that you'd want. So you can write like, they're very loyal, they respect me, they do this and whatever. You can also write about what you do to stay healthy, what you look like, what your mindset is like. So you can write like, I'm very confident, I don't care what other people think about me, I drink this amount of water, like this many ounces a day to stay healthy. And you can write like, I have strong nails, clear skin. These are just some examples. You can write whatever your goals are. They don't have to be what I just said, it can be anything. Write anything and everything down about the person that you want to be. So after we do that, what you're not going to do is try to do and become all those things at once. Another podcast I was listening to, it was on YouTube, so a video podcast, by The Wizard Liz, to reference. She's really, really great. She's a great channel. I definitely recommend checking her out as well. But what she said was that when the mind is exposed to too many different choices, it paralyzes and you end up doing nothing. So instead, what you're going to do is pick one thing off the list, something simple, something basic, and start implementing that into your life. So if you wrote that you want to start drinking more water, write the desired amount of water that you'd want to drink, and then day by day start working towards that goal. You don't have to drink all the water at once because that'll be very different to your body. Your body won't be used to it. So just do very slowly until you get to the amount that you want to, and then try to do the amount that you want to. Try doing that every single day as best as possible until it becomes a habit. And this is kind of where we're going to start bringing in some discipline before it becomes a habit, which I'll get into later on in the episode. Another example is maybe you wrote that you want to have a certain group of friends, like you have a very healthy circle of friends. So take a pause and think, are the people that I described on my paper, are those people I'm friends with right now? If they're not, then you may have to go through, do some self-reflecting, and think of some changes that you can make. So you can join some new clubs to make friends that do match the things that you wrote. You can just talk to people. Or you can also just have your little era, like a solo era, and just focus on yourself, work on yourself a lot. And if you're interested in more about that, I do have another episode, like a podcast episode, but on Spotify. All Within Me podcast. So if you are interested in that, I do have another episode on Spotify where I talk more about that, but I'm not going to get too much into that today in this episode. So back to picking one thing and starting from there. When you pick one thing off your list and do that, everything else will start to follow. So I'm going to use drinking water as an example again. So let's say that you wrote you want to drink more water and that you want clear skin. When you drink more water, for some people, drinking more water really helps clear up your skin. So when you drink more water, then your skin will start to clear. Although I do have to say that drinking water is not the only thing that's going to help with having clear skin. That's just one of the things that we can start to do to also get to that goal. So it's like two goals being accomplished at the same time. But for clear skin, there are a few other things you have to do. And that's where I kind of want to get into systems. In a book I'm reading called Atomic Habits, which, by the way, is a very good book. I highly recommend it. The author is talking about how it's important to have a system behind your goals. He said that goals were about the results that you want, and systems were about the processes that lead to those goals. Goals set the direction, and systems actually make it happen. He also talks about how it's okay to ignore your goals for a little bit and focus on your systems a little more. Not that goals are not important, but systems are what actually lead to progress. The author also used a great example where basically, the goal for a sports game is to finish with the highest score. But that's not going to be possible if the players and the coach are just going to be staring at the scoreboard the whole time. In order to win the game, you actually have to play the game, actually do something. Now we need to get into something that's crucial to your goals, and that's discipline. After listening to this, you may be motivated and ready to start becoming who you want to be, setting all your goals, which is great, but what could happen is that after a week or so, you might start losing motivation and then stop. But this is going to just push you back from getting to where you want to be. Self-discipline is one of the main things that'll help you to your goal. The stages you'll go through is first learning about all this, then you're going to start actually doing it, then you're going to start losing motivation. This is where most people fall off, but it doesn't mean that you have to. And then afterwards you've pushed through that part where you start to lose motivation, is then where it just becomes habit, and this is just what you do normally as a routine. To get through discipline, I have a few things you can try. First, remember why you're doing what you're doing. Remember why you started what you're starting. So you have to have a purpose behind the things that you do. So like, again, I want to drink water. Why? I want to drink water because I want to have clear skin and so that I can think more clearly. It's also important to reflect on who you were and who you're becoming. Some people may want to quit because they feel like they aren't getting any results, but that's why it's important to check in with yourself regularly. Take time after a week or few to look back and notice all of the tiny little changes. Like, okay, after drinking all this water, actually my eyes are a little less dry. I'm just using water as an example again. And when you do this, you'll see how much farther you've gotten. And then you can think to yourself, okay, how much more far can I get if I keep doing this for one more week? Okay, let's do another week, and then another week, and then another week, and then another week. And then at some point, you're wondering, okay, I don't know what week it is, and I don't know how long I've been doing this, but this is what I just do now. It's normal. It's just what I do. Also remember that if you stop now, all those tiny little changes will simply fly out the window. And then eventually, when you get motivated again, you'll have to start all over. And this whole thing will have to happen again. You'll be motivated, and then you'll lose it, and then you'll stop, and then you'll be motivated again, and you'll have to start all over, get back all these tiny changes, and the cycle will just continue to repeat itself. You cannot control whether or not you're going to lose motivation, but what you can control is how you're going to respond to losing that motivation. Now, this is something I need to say, and it may be just as important as the other thing I just talked about. It's okay to maybe not necessarily fall off, but fall back a little bit while you're building up these habits. Now, this was something that was pretty hard for me as a perfectionist, but you need to be okay with things not being perfect. Again, with my water example, maybe you've been drinking the amount of water that you wanted to drink pretty consistently for a good few days, but then one day your schedule is just not how it usually is, you're kind of out of the flow, and you happen to not drink as much water as you usually would have. If you're someone that likes having things a certain way, something like this happening can make you feel like you're falling back. But you're not falling back. You're a human being. You're not a robot. Things are not always going to go the same way. Life happens. Things happen. You would not be considered falling back by things not going the way that you hoped it would go for one day. What would be considered falling back is looking at the whole situation and thinking, okay, that's it, I cannot do this, and I give up. That would be falling back. And if you would do that, completely give up, that is when all the tiny changes that I talked about earlier would start to go away. Not just if you mess up one day, right? It's like somebody who drinks water consistently, and if they mess up one day, like, their skin is not automatically going to break out. That's not going to happen. But somebody who does not drink, like, rarely drinks water, and then drinks water pretty well for one day, not suddenly, like, their skin will start to clear up. That's not going to happen if they only do it for one day. It's about doing something over and over and over and over and over again. Instead of completely giving up, just move on the next day, continue on like how you normally would have. And you don't even have to make up for anything that you missed. Just continue going and you'll be fine. And this kind of flexibility in your habits are also what's going to make them more sustainable. Another thing from Atomic Habits that I really liked was when he kind of used a voting analogy to talk about this. So basically, in an election, there will be votes on both sides, right? In order for you to win, there just has to be the majority of the votes on your side. It doesn't have to be all the votes, just the majority. Another thing that's great to do, especially for those times where you have to get up and do something that you really, really don't want to do, is to count down from 3, and then when you finish counting down, get up. Treat those 3 seconds as your time to be completely thoughtless and completely free. Just don't think about anything during that time. Completely clear your mind. Then when you get to second 1, just get up and go without even thinking about it. This is just going to make you do the things you need to do without thinking about it. You're just moving your body. Your mind is at a pause. You're just moving and doing what you have to do. It's also kind of another thing that you can do is, so let's say you have to get up in the morning and you're thinking, okay, you're laying in your bed and you're thinking, okay, I have to get up, I need to brush my teeth, I need to take a shower, I need to do my skincare, I need to pack my lunch, I have to pack my bag, I need to get in the car, I need to drive to work or school, whatever. Instead of thinking through everything you need to do, just think, okay, I need to get up and stand in front of my bed. And then when you do that, think, okay, and now I need to go stand in my bathroom. And then just keep thinking about that. Do very small steps. Instead of seeing everything you need to do, thinking, okay, and then I have to be at work, then I have to be at school. No, just think, then I have to stand in front of my bed. And see where you go from there. As I've kind of brought up before, you need to have a purpose behind the things that you want. So you can't just say, I want to eat healthier. I want to have a healthier friend group. I want to drink more water. Those are great things to want, but why do you want them? What's your purpose behind wanting those things? I want to do the things that I'm doing right now way before I actually started to do them. But the thing is that I didn't have a very good purpose behind wanting those things. I wanted those things at first because I thought, okay, I see this on Pinterest, I see that girl aesthetic, that's what I want. I want to have that kind of aesthetic. And then I never ended up following through with things until I found a good, genuine purpose for wanting certain things. The next time I tried to do the things that I wanted to do, I actually pulled myself together and I found a good purpose for the goals that I had. I want to drink more water to feel less tired and so I can think more clearly. I want to go to bed earlier so I can have more stable energy levels throughout the day. You need a purpose, and I think a great purpose is to do things for the benefit of your mental health, because that's something that affects everything. It affects your relationships, it affects your job, your school maybe, it affects your hobbies, it affects everything. And of course there are other purposes too that will happen, like maybe some for physical health, but I think that just as an example, mental health is something great to do because it can root back to a lot of different things. Lastly, I want to discuss waiting for the perfect time to start doing things. Some people want to wait for the perfect time before they try to start getting things done. Or they make up excuses like, oh, well, I'm just too busy right now, or I can't do this, or whatever, I don't have this, so I can't do that. But if you really want to do something, you will be able to find a way to do it. If you are waiting for the perfect time, you will be waiting forever, because there is no perfect time. The perfect time does not exist. Life always has something going on. So the first time I tried to create the life I wanted, I was really stressed with school. And I thought, okay, well, when summertime comes, summer break, I'm going to be able to do everything that I want to do. Guess what happened when summer break came? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, of course, I don't hold any feelings of resentment to who that was. I've learned from my mistakes. And after a while later, I did better. And I actually did better during the school year when I was stressed. You can't wait for the perfect time. There will always be something. In fact, people make up these excuses because they're scared of failure. They're scared that they're going to have to be put out of their comfort zone. But you will never grow if you are always in your comfort zone. The second time, I had a major fail, like a huge fail. I'm not going to get into it in this video because it's not what this video is about, but it was a big fail, right? But that does not define me or my journey. So I got back up and I kept going. You most likely will have some failures, but that does not mean that you or your journey that you are venturing upon is a failure. If you chose to listen to this, That shows me that you are ready and that you are capable of creating the life that you want. By clicking on this video and watching this video, you are already taking the first step to building that life. So I am incredibly proud of you, and I am so excited for what is to come. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope that you could take something from this video and have a great rest of your day.